What if I told you that some people who call themselves Christians will be rejected in the end? What if everything you are doing right now, everything you pride yourself on, looks perfectly religious on the outside, but is completely empty, hollow, and meaningless in the eyes of God? Take a moment, look around you, think about your routine. Now realize this is not about the people out there. This is not a message for your neighbor or for someone who has openly turned their back on faith. This is about you. It is standing directly under the spotlight of your own conscience. Because the most dangerous lie in this world is not outright disbelief. The most dangerous lie is the quiet, comforting whisper in your own mind telling you that you are saved, while you continue to live your daily life in a way that completely denies everything you claim to believe. It is the illusion of safety while standing on the edge of a cliff. Daniel never thought he would question himself like this. He was not the type of person who doubted his own standing. For years he had been comfortable. He was not perfect, and he would be the first to admit that to anyone who asked, but he was comfortable. He had carved out a neat, respectable space for himself within his community. He knew the language of faith inside and out. He knew exactly when to say the right words, how to nod in agreement during a serious conversation, and how to look like someone who truly belonged. He wore his faith like a well-fitted coat, comfortable and familiar. And for the longest time, that was enough. Or at least, that is what he desperately wanted to believe. He had built a fortress of routine around his heart, a barrier made of good deeds, polite smiles, and superficial dedication that kept any real, piercing truth from ever getting too close. But now something had shifted. The air in his quiet room felt heavy, almost suffocating. Those words would not leave him. They echoed in the silence of his thoughts, repeating like an unanswered alarm. Not everyone who calls themselves a Christian truly belongs to Christ. At first, when he first encountered that thought, he treated it like just another statement. It was something serious. Yes, something meant for a powerful sermon, but it was not personal. It was a warning meant for the hypocrites, for the people who openly cause trouble for anyone else but him, until it became personal. Because truth has a terrifying, relentless way of doing that. It always starts far away. It sounds like a distant thundercloud, a message meant for someone else across the room or across the world. Then slowly, without you even noticing its footsteps, it moves closer. It steps into your house. It walks down your hallway. Until one day, it is standing right in front of you, looking you dead in the eye, refusing to move. Daniel tried to ignore it with everything he had. He tried to shake the weight off his shoulders by submerging himself right back into his normal, predictable routine. He woke up at his usual time, stepped out into the world, spoke to people with his practiced warmth, smiled at the cashiers, laughed at the jokes of his coworkers, and did everything the exact same way he always had for years. On the outside, to anyone watching him walk down the street, absolutely nothing had changed. He was still the same reliable, pleasant Daniel, but inside, beneath the surface of his skin, everything felt completely different. The foundation was cracking. Because once truth enters your heart, even as a tiny spark, it does not stay quiet. It does not allow you to sleep peacefully. It begins to question your motives. It begins to expose the hidden rot. It begins to systematically remove the soft, padded comfort you once lived in, leaving you exposed to the cold reality of who you actually are. Simple things started to feel incredibly heavy. Conversations that once felt normal, casual, and easy now felt completely empty and hollow. Words he used to say easily, phrases of faith he used to toss around without a second thought, now felt like they had an immense, terrifying weight behind them, demanding to know if he actually meant a single syllable. He noticed how quickly he would bend the truth in small situations. He noticed how often pride slipped into his thoughts without him even realizing it. He noticed how easily he judged others while excusing himself. These were not new things. They had always been there, but now he could see them. And seeing the truth is uncomfortable, because it forces you to face something you have been avoiding. You face yourself. One evening, Daniel stood in front of a mirror. Not for long, just a moment. But something about that moment stayed with him. He looked at his reflection, and for the first time, he did not focus on how he appeared. He asked a different question. Who am I, really? Not the version people see, not the version he shows, but the real one. The one that exists when no one is watching, the one that does not perform, the one that cannot hide. That question did not have an easy answer, because the truth is, most people do not know who they really are. They know what they show, they know what they say, but they avoid what they are. Daniel turned away from the mirror, but the question followed him into his thoughts, into his silence, into moments where he had nothing to distract himself. Days passed, and the pressure inside him grew, not from people, not from expectations, but from truth. He started to realize something that made him uneasy. He had been more focused on appearing right than actually being right. He cared about how people saw him, but he had never truly asked how God saw him. And that difference changed everything. The weight of this realization began to seep into every ordinary moment of his life. When he sat at his desk at work, the rhythmic tapping of the keyboard sounded like a countdown, a relentless reminder that time was passing, and he was living a double life. He watched his colleagues engage in idle gossip, and instead of joining in or quietly feeling superior as he used to, a cold wave of conviction washed over him. He realized that his silence in the past wasn't holiness. It was just a way to keep his pristine reputation intact. He was maintaining an image, a carefully constructed facade of a righteous man, while his heart remained detached from the actual pain and struggles of the people around him. He began to replay past conversations in his mind, dissecting them with a newfound, painful clarity. He remembered the times he had offered to pray for someone, only to forget about it the moment he turned the corner. He remembered the empty compliments, the practiced theological arguments he used to win debates rather than to point people toward genuine truth, and the subtle ways he made sure his charitable deeds were noticed by those who mattered. The veneer of his religious perfectionism was peeling away, exposing a hollow interior built on the fragile foundation of human approval. Every encounter became a mirror reflecting his internal duplicity. He noticed the micro-expressions of irritation he quickly masked with a pious smile when interrupted. He saw the ledger he kept in his mind, tracking his good deeds against his flaws, desperately trying to balance a scale that he now realized was completely broken. The comfort of his predictable routine was entirely gone, replaced by a haunting awareness that he had been performing for an audience of men, completely ignoring the eyes of the Creator who sees through every performance. Because people can be fooled, but God cannot. People see actions, God sees intentions. People hear words, God knows the heart behind them. That realization made Daniel uncomfortable in a way he had never felt before, because it meant one thing. He could not hide anymore, not behind his words, not behind his image, not behind his routine. That night, he sat alone, no phone, no distractions, just silence. And in that silence, the truth became louder. The silence of the room seemed to expand, filling the space with an undeniable weight. For years, Daniel had used the noise of the world to drown out the quiet whisper of his own conscience. But now, the quietness was absolute. It was a mirror he couldn't turn away from. He looked down at his hands, hands that had done good deeds, hands that had held holy books, and he realized how little those actions mattered if they weren't driven by true love and sincerity. The fear of being exposed was no longer a fear of what others would think. It was the terrifying understanding that his entire existence had been a well-rehearsed performance, completely detached from the living truth. As the hours ticked away into the early morning, a strange sense of peace began to mix with his discomfort. The burden of maintaining the mask was finally slipping away. He didn't have to pretend to be perfect anymore, because the illusion was already shattered in the presence of the Almighty. He realized that redemption didn't start with a clean record. It started with a broken spirit and an honest heart. The terrifying thought of everything being revealed on the final day became less of a threat and more of a guiding light, calling him to live an authentic life starting from that very moment. He stood up, walked to the window, and watched the first light of dawn break through the darkness. The world outside was exactly the same, but the man looking out at it was fundamentally changed. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, stripping away years of pride and superficial habits, but he was finally ready to walk it. He was done with the comfortable lie. He was ready for the uncomfortable reality. The question was no longer just about who he was when no one was watching, but about who he would choose to become now that his eyes were truly open. Are you ready for what will be revealed in you?